There's a cat. This is my little reading buddy. Hi, Binks. Yeah, she's gonna act like she's not, but hey folks, so I'm a little bit late, I guess, to this game of a reading vlog, I guess. Hey folks, my name is Jen. I'm a little bit late to this idea of, hey, maybe I should make some kind of vlog to talk about the experience of reading Three Musketeers. So I actually did a reading vlog when I read Count of Monte Cristo last year. Unfortunately, there's like, oh my god, how many hours of footage? Way too much. I only got a quarter of the way through editing it and then just kind of gave up because I was so overwhelmed. I do want to go back to it at some point and actually finish the editing process and post it at some point, but it's just, it is very overwhelming at this point just because of how much footage there is and how much I ramble as per usual, like I'm doing now. So I am not as far along in this as I would like to be current. It is currently the 17th, almost, Jesus, I need to get to bed soon. It is almost the 18th of April, and I am only here. I had anticipated that I would actually be done with this book by now, or like maybe about here by this time this month. I've just been having some trouble really feeling like I can read. Honestly, I've been feeling a little bit overwhelmed with all of the many things that I have kind of put upon myself. So reading has been feeling a little bit like a hard time this year, to be honest, but I'm trying. But this book is like really good. Every time I keep putting it aside, I'm like, I have so many other things that I need to be doing, and it's such a slog to get through. But in reality, when I'm like reading it, it is not a slog to get through at all. It's just I'm choosing to read it before bedtime, so my brain's tired. But this book is not a slug. It is as exciting as the Count of Monte Cristo. It is very interesting. I feel like the translator, this is translated by Lawrence Ellsworth, and I feel like he's done such a wonderful job capturing Dumas's like writing style and his sense of humor. I think he's done a really good job with it, and apparently he has also translated the other two books in the Musketeers series, which are The Red Sphinx and also 20 years, it's either 20 years later or 20 years after. Although I do also think that The Man in the Iron Mask is also technically a Musketeers book, but I don't know if he's translated that one. So I think he's done like a really good job. I have, as you can see, tab stuff. This is not like a full annotation process at all. It's not like my others, basically, that I've been doing for whatever purposes, whether because they're my favorite books, or whether it's for like my research purposes. That is not how I've done this. This is solely marking lines that I really enjoyed, things that hit home, things that amused me. And a couple of those were actually in the introduction by the translator. And there's one quote in particular that made me really happy, and it's the end of his introduction. And it's saying that what he did with this particular translation, he wanted to try to remain as true as possible to Dumas's original voice. And this quote he says here is how he did things. It says, by the standards of the mid-19th century, the novel took a rather frank approach to sexuality. Those scenes, which were mostly or wholly deleted from the Victorian translations, have been restored in this version. Not least important, I've also kept in all the jokes. Dumas is a very funny man, and I have no patience with translators who note that a gag is a gallicism that cannot be properly rendered into English. Weak. Dumas wasn't above stooping to make a terrible French pun, in which case I have considered it my solemn obligation to provide some matching wordplay in English, because literary translation is a noble calling, and sometimes your sacred duty to the reader requires you to make a terrible, terrible pun. I love that. I have seen that here and there, the humor that's in here, especially like the humor that is between the four main characters. So I'm at the point in the story where D'Artagnan has met and now befriended Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, and they are like bosom buddies. Like, they are so super close. They are basically attached at the hip, all four of them. They go on jobs with each other, they eat meals together, they just hang out. They're like close friends. There are a couple of passages where I detected some potential, like, how close friends though? For real. But so we have learned more about like their lives, or at least what we can learn about them, because the Three Musketeers, and it is the Three Musketeers because D'Artagnan has not become a musketeer yet. He's only like a guard, a cadet, basically. Those three have very much like taken D'Artagnan under their wings, and yeah, I just really enjoy the humor that is shared between the three of them. They're very close friends, and within that closeness and like there is also a lot of teasing. Like, there's a lot of half-asides of them basically goading each other and saying things that would almost seem like, well, that's condescending, but then it's like, oh, but they're not really being like that. They're not trying to be condescending or jerks. They are, in fact, teasing each other. They are picking on one another as friends do, and yeah, I really enjoy that a lot. I really like so far how things have been going in here. I shared a image on Bookstagram of one of my favorite like quotes that I read the other day. I love this quote by D'Artagnan because at first I wasn't really sure how I felt about him entirely, because he is so prideful and very hot-headed, much to his own detriment. I think he just kind of rushes pell-mell into things without really thinking his actions through or their possible consequences. I feel like in a slightly more modern sense, he's a shoot first, ask questions later kind of bro. And that is not something that is that endearing to me, really. Although It honestly should be, because one of my favorite characters of all time is Marty McFly from Back to the Future, and he also was kind of like that, very hot-headed and not really always thinking things through entirely when he decided to run his mouth or pick a fight with someone. So I wasn't 100% sure how I felt about D'Artagnan, because he just kind of seemed to have a death wish. Then it gets to the moment when he has basically met the three Musketeers, and they've had their own like little quarrels and stuff like that, but now they are being challenged by the Cardinal's guards, and they, you know, are gonna have to fight with them, and D'Artagnan is kind of cancelled out from this. And he says to them, "You said you were only 3, but it seems to me we are 4." And one of them replies, "But you're not one of us." And he says, "That's true. I lack the uniform, but I'm with you in spirit. I have the heart of a musketeer, Major. I feel it and must follow where it leads." And I just like, okay. In that moment, I was like, alright, I'm on the D'Artagnan train. It has left the station. Here we go. So they're all 4 of them, just impossible, ridiculous chuckle fucks. Like, D'Artagnan, like I said, is hot-headed and like reckless to his very own detriment a lot of the times, although he seems to have supreme luck in getting himself out of shit. So there's D'Artagnan, then there is Athos, who is incredibly rude about women, seems to have a bitter hatred towards women, yet he is also incredibly noble and thoughtful and intelligent, and has a also really good sense of humor. And then you have Porthos, who is a complete buffoon. He is vain and materialistic and absolutely obnoxiously ridiculous, but at the same time there's such a joy in him, and this just, like I said, he's a complete buffoon, but there's almost something endearing about his ultimate buffoonery. And then at the end of it is Aramis, and Aramis on the one hand seems to be very intelligent and also honorable. He takes making sure that women's honor are not slandered very seriously. I guess he'd be what is the word that I'm thinking of? Just went right out of my head. Chivalrous. I guess he'd be pretty chivalrous if not for, like, also some of the whack things that he said about women. But he does try to be, like, more honorable. He wants to become an abbot at some point, so he's also trying to, like, keep on the up and up. But at the same time, he's also cold and calculating, and like I said, also can say some whack shit about women too. So on the one hand, there's like all these flaws about them that should make me not want to continue reading this book, because like it's flaws that I hate in real life people, and also what usually makes me not like characters, you know, when I'm reading something. But at the same time, I can't help but rooting for these complete chuckleheads, because they constantly get themselves into scrapes, yet somehow, by what seems like pure fucking luck, they roll their asses right out of it again. And I just can't wait to see where this goes. They have reached a point where they're about to get pulled into something that is like bigger than any of them, and I think this is where the real story is starting. Basically, is right about now. Like the plots and the political intrigue and the crazy backstabbery, you know, stuff, and the action and everything. I think that's what's about to what's about to begin right now. I have watched a couple of Three Musketeer things before. I've never seen Musketeers, or is it The Musketeer? It was a one from like, what, the 90s or something? I never actually managed to watch the movie, so I haven't seen that. And then I watched the Wishbone episode like several times growing up, but I mean, Wishbone is like a ultimate summary of a book. It doesn't always go into like the ending of the book either, but it leaves out obviously a lot of key details because it is basically a summary, and it's not even like a half-hour long summary because the story reenactment is interspersed with real life things that are related to it, that are going on in Wishbone's life, real life, but like, you know, not the book or whatever. And so in reality, the little reenactment scenes are basically a summary of maybe 15 minutes. It's not going to capture all the little details and the special like parts and stuff like that, and of course it's simplified for children. And then the only other version I've watched is the one that came out in like, what, 2011 I think, and had Matthew McFadden in it and Orlando Bloom. And I love both Matthew McFadden and Orlando Bloom, so I love that version. However, there are steampunk elements to this, which clearly are not in here. So, I mean, Milady is brought up, but while I know she is like some kind of spy, I don't think she's a deadly assassin unless that part was actually correct. Even if she is a deadly assassin, I don't think she's sliding Matrix style through a room full of like a hail of bullets like she is in that movie adaptation. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen in this book because all I've seen are half-assed adaptations, I guess, like, maybe not half-assed, but like, not true adaptations, basically is what it is. So the chapter that I just finished in here is called The Plot Thickens, and in all honesty, that is a very appropriate title because the plot does indeed thicken in this chapter. So, D'Artagnan, my dude, you hopeless, ridiculous, besotted turnip. You need to calm down. Now, I am actually a believer in love at first sight. That might sound like an absolutely insane, immature, hopeless romantic type of thing to say, but I am a believer in love at first sight, although I do have to say I think 90% of the time it's more like lust at first sight for most people, but I do believe in love at first sight. And no, I'm not going to say something gross and sappy like about my husband or something. Although I will say I thought he was very cute at first sight, but we actually met online, so we had conversations like that before we ever met face to face and stuff, so it's a little bit different. I believe in love at first sight because that is how my one set of my grandparents met. My grandpa walked into the bank where my grandma works and just immediately fell in love. And 3 months later, they were married, and they were married for almost 70 years, and they were absolutely devoted to each other until the end. So, yeah, I believe in love at first sight. D'Artagnan, my dude, I do not believe that you have love at first sight, because, sir, you have fallen for a married woman and you don't want a relationship with her. You want to take her as a mistress so you can continuously bang her and have her spend money on you. Sir, that's not love, that's thinking with your little sword. Things are going so far. There has been introduction of a couple of new characters. There has been some very secretive things happening, like rendezvous and secret knocks and like signs. Not like literal signs, but like, you know, certain tapping knocks in certain places and items being shown and like different, like handkerchiefs and like different things going on. It's very interesting, and I also like that it's kind of tying in with the fact that while D'Artagnan does know his friends, and they are his best friends at this point, and they're all very close and devoted to each other and stuff. At the end of the day, while at this point they might know everything about D'Artagnan, he does not know everything about Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. Athos, Porthos, and Aramis are the names, the nom de plumes that they have taken on. He does not know their actual names. I think it said in here that he does know that at least one of them, Athos, for example, has ties to a noble family, but he doesn't, like, I don't think he knows for certain what their surnames are what they're all about, and they keep secrets. All of them keep secrets. Athos keeps things very close to the chest. He is very bitter towards women, and no one knows why, or D'Artagnan does not know why, so we don't really know why. And he's very, yeah, he keeps things close to the chest. He's very secretive, and doesn't really say that much all the time. And Porthos, in all of his blustering, he will disappear for a little while and mysteriously come back with more money even after he has spent it all and he's having problems, but then he'll return the next day and he'll have like lots of money to repay his debts or repay his friends and stuff like that. And then Aramis, he keeps going to study theology, and D'Artagnan at one point thinks he sees Aramis with and is like, oh, so that's your theology that you're studying, is it? So like he will suddenly disappear and say that he has gone off to read something or study, or he has had to meet up with an abbot or a theologian or someone that he is studying with or from, and like listening to, I don't know, lectures, talking to this person, whatever. So all of them have secrets, and D'Artagnan at this point I think is pretty much an open book, like he's with the readers because we're following pretty closely with him, but I think he's also an open book with his friends as well. Like I think know everything that he's about. They know that he's hot-headed, that he's reckless and rash, that he is brave almost to a fault, loyal almost to a fault, and he is honorable, but again, the hot-headedness comes into play. So they know him, they know what he's about, they know his life, they know all this stuff, but he still doesn't know everything about them. I kind of like that it seems like there's hints possibly at ties between things that are going on with the royals might also be tied into some of the mysteries surrounding the Three Musketeers. Like Dumas, and he writes a lot. And I'm getting a feel for his writing, even though this translation by Lawrence Ellsworth is, of course, this is a different translator than the translator for Count of Monte Cristo. That was Robin Buss, I believe. And I wonder if this guy has also, I don't think he's translated Count of Monte Cristo. If he did translate Count of Monte Cristo at some point, I would have to buy another version of Count of Monte Cristo because I want to read it and like compare and stuff. But even though this is like a different translator and stuff, I feel like I'm still getting a pretty good feel for Dumas and how he like wrote. I know that this was serialized, but yeah, I think I'm getting an idea of how he writes just from like comparing this to Count of Monte Cristo, and a lot of good action, a lot of funny little societal bits of humor and stuff like that. But I think this also might be similar to The Count in the way that details matter, and even the most ridiculous details, something that seems like it's so small and possibly insignificant, especially mixed in with all the other many bits of detail and things that are throughout the book. I feel like those little things are going to come back into play later, and they're going to end up being really important, because that's kind of how things were in Count of Monte Cristo. Because you can get to a point in there that even when it was very entertaining and fun and interesting to read, there were a couple of points in there that it's like, but why are we following this character now? Like, why do we care about this character? This isn't the character that I want to be following. Like, why are we dealing with this? Because it matters. Because knowing them will matter for things that happen later, for other things that have to happen. Like, it's all interwoven together, and it all matters. And I think that's what I'm kind of getting from this too, is that there are little things that are happening and that are being mentioned, and little characters and stuff like that, and eventually I think this will matter. The thing that's getting me about this reading this time, and I don't know, I guess maybe it didn't, maybe it wasn't so prevalent in Count of Monte Cristo, but it's like a lot of directions. Like, this is very much taking place in Paris, and it is, I've been looking, see, I have my tabs to hold my place at where I'm at with the footnotes, but this book is dealing heavily right now with directions and saying Rue de whatever, it's like the street name, and it's like telling you this is on the corner of this and this, but this is with this. And I have to say, like, you can't give me directions in real life like that. I'm not gonna remember. I'm not gonna understand. So in English, it's like I don't get it, and when the names are all in French, I'm not gonna remember, and I don't get it either. So that bit of it is like a little bit confusing, just because they're saying, oh, this is by this thing, and then that thing's by this thing, and Aramis lives over here, and Porthos is over here, and Athos is here, and D'Artagnan is, and they're trying to, he's trying to explain where everybody lives and where things are in location with each other, and give you like a map in your head. But as someone who has never been to Paris, and again, like I said, I don't even know street names in my own town. I'm lucky if I remember street names in the town where I lived for like 22 years of my fucking life. And I think this comes from growing up in a rural area, but I don't operate by street names. I operate by landmarks. That is how I found my way around. Which is hard to do in Massachusetts when you say, oh, it's 2 streets over from the Dunkin'. Well, which Dunkin' do you mean? Which of the 5 Dunkins in the surrounding area are you referencing? But what I mean to say is, it's confusing. It's very confusing. That's like the only thing I don't like about this so far, is just those bits, because it's, I can't picture it like a map in my head. It is April 19th, and yeah, I'm still only here. My folks are visiting this weekend, and we're going to be doing some stuff around the house, so I don't really anticipate me doing a lot of reading this weekend either, unfortunately. But I am hoping to get through this, even if I don't get to any other books on my TBR for the month. I will finish this. Like, I do not want to leave April not having finished this book. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think that means that I am pretty much not finishing like 3 other books on my TBR for the month. Yeah, that 23 and 2023 is not going so good right now. Happy 420, y'all. I've already readied one video for next week. Or rather, when you're watching this, it'll probably be next week. I'm hoping to get some more reading done and do some more like Three Musketeers discussion before I post this video. I got a rum and coke. I got some Reese's Pieces eggs. Getting an earlier start in the evening. I don't usually read until close to bedtime, but I've already posted, not really posted, but I've uploaded one of my videos for next week. So I want to get some more reading done so I can film more of this and hopefully get this up at some point next week too, because I won't have the weekend to do most stuff. So I've been trying to remember who exactly the Duke of Buckingham is and where exactly he fits in with the whole story, because I know that at least in the at least in the 2011 version, I believe that he is the character that Orlando Bloom plays, and he is the bad guy. But, I mean, in that one you can't take it that seriously because there's a fucking dirigible in it. So, well, I don't really know if I can take any part of that as a reference for how this story is going to go, because there's, like, again, a dirigible and a fight involving a dirigible, and I don't think that's in here. But I don't know if the Duke is going to be a bad guy or not, because he kind of seems like he is a little bit. At first I was like, oh, he doesn't seem to be that bad of a dude, I guess. He's just kind of in love with the Queen and the Queen of France. So isn't that a little bit sad, you know, star-crossed lovers kind of thing, because she's like married to the French king and all this jazz. But this dude just straight up fucking said that he's going to be part of a war between England and France. In fact, he's going to be a big person. He's going to help invade France, and eventually he's going to march into Paris. And he says the war will have to end in a peace. A peace will require a negotiator, and that negotiator will be me. Hi, Banks. She is just... I don't know if you can see, she has just put her paw on my leg. Hi, I'm sorry. Is Mama talking too much and not paying attention to you? I'm so sorry. So, basically, he is going to be the negotiator for the peace. I'll come back to Paris and I'll come back to you, and I will be happy if just for a moment. True, thousands of men will pay for their lives for my happiness, but what does that matter to me, provided I see you again? Perhaps this is all folly, even insane, but tell me, what woman in the world has a lover more amorous? I don't know. What comes to mind is... Hector? Is that what his name is? Is it Hector? And Helen? Or is it Paris? Ironically. Paris? And Helen? Right. The start of the Trojan War is what I'm getting at. It has been years since I've read the Iliad, so I don't quite remember, but wasn't it something like that? And she's like, the Queen's just like, what you say in your defense just condemns you all the more. These so-called proofs of your love verge on being crimes. No, Anne, Anne, come here a second. These are crimes. They don't just verge on being crimes, they are literal crimes. They are war crimes. They are literally... Look, I know the king is really boring and seems all he's obsessed with is hunting and playing chess with Cardinal Richelieu or whatever and his bros, okay? But like, compared to a man who will start a war and invade a country and cause thousands of men to die just to see you for like 5 seconds, like, he's looking like the fucking golden tuna, okay? He's looking like a much better choice to stay married to than deal with this guy. This guy who is a fucking sociopath. Also, I just wanted to add in at this moment that Athos has now come up to the top of my list of all of the 4 chuckleheads in this book. Yeah, Athos is now in top position in my mind because he is currently fucking with the interrogators at the Bastille. And the Bastille, from what little bits and pieces that I know about it from like history and Rick Steves and other French works, it sucked. So any trouble that anyone can give to the interrogators of the Bastille sounds good to me. And he is, yeah, he's playing mind games with them right now, and I kind of really desperately love him for it. Also, Richelieu, really? You're supposed to be in church. Why do you have anything to do with a fucking dungeon? Get over yourself. You are not God yourself. Get out of here, Richelieu. Get out. Sorry, my husband is practicing guitar downstairs. Like I said about tiny things that may or may not matter, but might indeed be important later. I think they just mentioned Aramis' house in this, like, interrogation. I think they just mentioned Aramis' house, so Aramis is now technically in danger, I think. Also, I hate the cardinal. I don't know what the guy was like in real life exactly. I only know little bits and pieces that I've picked up here and there. He doesn't seem like he was a barrel of laughs in general. He seems like a pretty big stuffed shirt. But in this fiction, I hate his guts. He sucks so hard. Like, if I could pick up one of his Bibles and smack him in the face with it, I would. Okay, you want one example as to why Richelieu is an evil snake that I want to punch right in the fucking face? It's because the reason why he's trying to set up the queen and basically destroy her, because she wouldn't give him whatever the fucking 1600s equivalent is of a sexual favor. She is pursued by the hatred of the cardinal, who cannot forgive her for having repulsed his own tender feelings. I really don't like him. I have a feeling by the end of this, I'm going to hate him more than Umbridge. Just saying. So, now I have popcorn. Because, why not? I do apologize that this portion of this vlog is a half-drunken rambling of me desperately wanting to hit Cardinal Richelieu in the face. That's kind of just where I'm at right now. I am currently I'm almost on page 200. It is 8:20. So I'm probably going to read for another hour or so and see how much further into the book that I can get. And then I'll probably transition into, I don't know, I haven't done my Duolingo lessons for the day, so I'll probably do my Duolingo. It hasn't gotten super confusing yet with all of the languages. Spanish I know the most of, so that's been easy to keep track of, but I did have a moment the other day where I almost answered something in German, and then I was like, wait, oh, that's not the word for it, it is French. That is the French word, oops. So, that's a little complicated, but still. Okay, so this is gonna be a really weird place for me to, like, end this vlog, I guess, but from what I know of what I filmed already, I think I have, like, probably half an hour or something of rambles, actually over an hour of rambles that I now have to edit, so I think I'm going to call it because I don't want to make you guys sit through even more of this when I am only on page like 232. But where I got in this, basically, I got to chapter, that's the Roman numeral, I think that's 20, chapter 20, the journey, and basically some things are happening. Cardinal Richelieu is, you know, working on his plans and manipulation to basically destroy the queen, and I don't know if he's trying to, like, actually get her killed, or if he's more like trying to get her divorced from the king and then exiled. I think that's more what he's working towards, but he's an evil little snake and we don't like him. But there's more of that going on, and now D'Artagnan and the others are now involved and are doing their part to try to keep part of this like evil plan from affecting the queen and being like successful, basically, to keep, you know, the king from finding out anything bad. So I actually really like that. I really like that the Musketeers and D'Artagnan, you know, as well, but the Musketeers, they are told that their duty, it's, yes, sort of, to the cardinal, which, by the way, is really fucked up. He owns the police. Like, I mean, this is like 1600s France, so they didn't have separation of church and state, and I actually don't know if France has that or not. I literally know nothing about French politics, and especially not modern day French politics. I know the vaguest things about how politics worked here. That's not that much. That separation of church and state is like an American thing, but I feel like that there's other places in the world that also do that, so I don't know, but so it's complicated. So technically, you know, they're also supposed to be loyal to the cardinal, but not really, because the Musketeers, those are the king's men. They're his guards, and the cardinal's guards, those are his people, and I guess he owns the police. So, like, the Musketeers are supposed to be loyal to the king, and they do have problems with the king. So first and foremost, they are loyal to Captain Trivial, who is close friends with the king and indebted to him, and basically, you know, they are loyal to him, and also de facto they are loyal to the king and the queen as well. And I just really appreciate the fact that what they are currently embroiled in, technically it is a plot by Cardinal Richelieu, but the queen hasn't necessarily been entirely blameless in this situation. I mean, this is a terrible situation to be in, but it's complicated. But I just appreciate the fact that, yeah, they're supposed to be loyal to the king and the queen and stuff like that, but at this moment they're kind of stepping around that loyalty to the king and, you know, focusing on their loyalty to the queen and trying to help her and keep her out of trouble. And I don't know, that's just like a detail that I really kind of appreciated. Queen Anne was in here a couple of chapters ago briefly. I don't know what to think about her exactly, but I do kind of feel sorry for her. From the footnotes that are in the back of the book, again, I don't really know much about the French politics, the French monarchy back in the day, but it does kind of sound like she was really lonely and kind of friendless because the king was like really kind of jealous and weird and kept like dismissing all of her close confidants, he exiled her friends, he basically fired and got rid of all of her like ladies in waiting, her confidants, her, you know, all these people that cared for her, that she cared for, and basically got rid of all of them and replaced them with other people. And it's like some of those people were loyal to the cardinal and not to her, and it just felt like she was surrounded by people who didn't give a shit about her and who wanted her to fuck up in some way. And because she's like half Austrian and half Spanish, they're also kind of really bigoted towards her as well. And it sounds like she's not in a very happy situation. And I don't know anything about the French monarchy, but I'm kind of like, well, why the fuck did the king agree to marry her then? He was going to be such a dickhead about her all the time. He could have found somebody else. Like, I guess there's just, I mean, Dumas is, of course, this is heavily fictionalized. of course it is, but I guess that he did read a couple of works. So while a lot of it is fictionalized, he is dealing with real life people, including a bunch of people that are based off of real life people. And I guess whatever he knew about those real life people, he has included like real facts about their lives and stuff like that in here, which is really interesting. I think I am going to leave off this like reading vlog here right now, just because that's a lot, I think, to ask of you all to sit through. It was probably going to be, I imagine, a couple of hours worth of me either ranting and raving about Conde de Richelieu, or just kind of talking about like my thoughts and stuff about this. So I feel like at this point I'm on page 232. I feel like this is a good place to stop for now, and then I can get this little bit edited and get this up for you guys. And if you're interested, I will, as I read, I will continue like filming when I feel like it, little thoughts and stuff like that, and maybe I'll be able to do like a vlog part 2 of this, basically, because it is like almost 800 pages, so I feel like that there needs to be a part 2. I can't just foist all of my my rambling thoughts on you all at once. Thanks for watching to this point. If you're also interested in the Three Musketeers, at the moment I have been trying to keep it fairly vague, like I've been mentioning things here and there, but trying to keep things kind of vague. And I know I went into detail about a couple of things, but why I did that was because it's either in like some synopses or whatever of the book, or it would be bits and pieces that would have been in one of the films or like the Wishbone episode or something like that. So it's not like a major spoiler, because it's stuff that, you know, people would know probably off the top of their head when thinking about the Three Musketeers. So yeah, that's how I've done this. I don't know if I will continue in that manner with a part 2, or if I will have to get spoilery to really talk about it at all. Let me know what you guys think. If you would like to hear more about this and you don't mind spoilers, I will definitely try to like say somewhere in the next video if I'm going to be doing spoilers, whether it be, you know, in the tagline or the in the title or the description box or in the video itself. I'll try to let you know if there's going to be spoilers ahead or anything. But I do also want to get up for you at some point. I filmed a vlog when I read Count of Monte Cristo for the first time last year as well, but that has footage that is probably like 5 hours long, and I have barely edited like half an hour of it, and I'm frankly really scared to try any more of that. But yeah, that I might get out to you at some point too. I don't know, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if this has been as interesting to you as this is so far to me. And yeah, let me know if you've read Three Musketeers or any of Dumas's works as well. This is the first book in the Musketeers cycle, and the way I'm feeling about it now, I'm pretty excited about the rest of the series too. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for always watching. If you are new here and would like to consider subscribing, please do so. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.